Welcome back to Mindful Aging. So often on this channel, we focus intensely on the physical side of getting older. We have talked extensively about the best gentle exercises for your joints, the right nutrition for longevity, and how to protect your brain health and get better, more restorative sleep. But today, we are going to talk about something that is just as important, and unfortunately, rarely talked about in our circles. We are talking about our mental health. For those of us over 50, mental health can sometimes feel like a taboo subject. We grew up in generations where you were told to pull yourself up by your bootstraps, keep a stiff upper lip, or simply not talk about your feelings in polite company. You were expected to just carry on, no matter how heavy the burden felt. But the truth is, the golden years are not always golden. Aging brings beautiful wisdom and a deeper understanding of the world, but it also brings profound transitions, unimaginable loss, and physical changes that can take a very heavy toll on our minds. Today, we are going to pull back the curtain on the mental health problems that seniors actually face on a daily basis. We will look closely at the signs, uncover the hidden triggers that you might not even realize are affecting you, and most importantly, we will discuss how to break the stigma and get the support you so rightfully deserve. Because taking care of your mind, with just as much dedication as you take care of your body, is the ultimate act of mindful aging. Before we dive into the specific conditions and what they look like, I want to share a few facts to remind you that if you are currently struggling, you are absolutely not alone. There is a silent epidemic happening right now, and understanding the scope of it is the first step toward healing. According to the World Health Organization, roughly 14% of adults aged 60 and over live with a mental disorder. But many experts believe that number is actually much higher, simply because so many older adults suffer in complete silence. Unipolar depression affects about 7% of the older population, and severe anxiety is incredibly common, often misdiagnosed or entirely brushed under the rug. One of the biggest hurdles we face is the stigma barrier. Studies show that nearly 30% of older adults who desperately need mental health care say they feel too embarrassed to seek it out. They worry about being a burden to their families, or they fear that admitting they are struggling means they are losing their independence. We need to normalize this conversation today. Just as your knees or your heart might need medical attention as the years go by, your brain, the complex organ that processes all your emotions and stressors, sometimes needs professional care, too. It is a medical issue, not a moral failing. Let us break down the most common mental health challenges we face as we age. It is absolutely vital to know the difference between a normal reaction to life's inevitable changes and a clinical condition that requires support. First, let us talk about depression. There is a massive misconception that being sad or slowing down is just a normal, expected part of getting older. It is not. Depression in older adults often looks different than it does in younger people. It is not always just feeling blue or crying. Instead, look for a persistent loss of interest in the hobbies you used to love. Look for significant changes in appetite, withdrawing from friends and family, and an overwhelming, heavy sense of worthlessness or unexplainable fatigue. Apathy is often a louder alarm bell than sadness. The danger here is incredibly real. In older men, particularly those over 85, untreated depression leads to the highest suicide rates of any demographic. This is a medical emergency, not a character flaw. Next, we have anxiety disorders. The reality is that anxiety in older adults very often manifests physically rather than emotionally. You might not feel panicked in your mind, but your chest feels constantly tight, your heart races for no apparent reason, or you develop persistent stomach and digestive issues that doctors cannot find a physical cause for. Common triggers for this demographic are very specific: a lingering fear of falling and getting hurt, financial insecurity while living on a fixed income, or a deep-seated anxiety about losing your independence and having to rely on others. Finally, we must address cognitive decline and dementia. While dementia itself is a neurological condition, it is deeply and inextricably intertwined with mental health. The early stages of memory loss often trigger severe depression and anxiety as the individual realizes their cognitive abilities are changing and slipping away. It is terrifying, and that fear breeds immense emotional distress. Furthermore, we also have to acknowledge the spouses, the adult children, and the family members. The mental health toll, the profound burnout, and the emotional exhaustion on those caring for someone with dementia is immense and requires its own dedicated support system. So, why are we so particularly vulnerable to these issues right now? It comes down to the unique, often unavoidable triggers that happen specifically in this phase of life. One of the biggest is the loss of identity and purpose. For decades, you were clearly defined by your career, or by raising your children and running a busy household. Retirement can sound like a permanent, glorious vacation when you are 40, but for many in their 60s and 70s, it brings a profound, disorienting loss of purpose. Who are you when you aren't clocking in every morning or parenting full-time? Figuring out your new identity takes a massive psychological toll. Then, there is grief and bereavement. As we age, the frequency of loss increases dramatically. It is a harsh reality. We lose our parents, our siblings, our dear lifelong friends, and sometimes our spouses. This is not just a single event, it is compounded grief. Before you have fully processed one loss, another occurs. This heavy, accumulated sorrow can very easily slip from natural mourning into clinical, persistent depression if left unchecked. Another major trigger is social isolation and loneliness. The World Health Organization identifies loneliness as one of the absolute key risk factors for mental health conditions in later life. As our mobility decreases, as we stop driving, or as friends move away to be closer to their grandchildren, our daily social circles shrink dramatically. A quiet house can quickly become an isolating prison. We cannot possibly talk about mental health without talking about physical health. They are completely connected, operating as a two-way street that directly impacts your overall quality of life. Think about the sheer exhaustion of managing a physical illness. If you are dealing with chronic pain from arthritis, managing diabetes, or recovering from a major surgery like a hip replacement, it rapidly drains your emotional reserves. It is absolutely exhausting to be in pain every single day, and that chronic exhaustion provides the perfect breeding ground for depression. Conversely, if you are depressed or constantly anxious, your physical health will inevitably decline. When you are deeply depressed, you are far less likely to do those gentle stretches and exercises we talk about on this channel. You might stop cooking nutritious, balanced meals, opting for processed convenience foods instead. Your sleep quality will plummet, which in turn spikes your cortisol levels and increases inflammation throughout your entire body. Treating your physical ailments without addressing the heavy emotional toll is like putting a tiny band-aid on a broken arm. You have to treat the whole person, mind and body together, to truly heal. If anything I have said today resonates with you, or sounds exactly like what you have been feeling lately, I want you to hear this loud and clear. Getting help is a sign of profound strength, not weakness. Recognizing that you cannot carry this heavy load entirely on your own is the bravest thing you can do. You do not have to navigate finding a psychiatrist or a specialized therapist right away. Start simply with your primary care doctor. Tell them honestly, I have not been feeling like myself lately. They are trained to help. They can check for vitamin deficiencies, thyroid issues, or medication side effects that perfectly mimic the symptoms of depression, and they can easily guide you to a local therapist. Please remember that talk therapy is not just for younger generations. Modalities like cognitive behavioral therapy are incredibly effective for older adults. A good therapist can help you reframe your anxieties about aging and illness, giving you practical, daily tools to manage your thoughts. Furthermore, many insurance plans, including Medicare, now cover mental health services, and telehealth has made it easier than ever to talk to a professional right from your living room couch. Finally, force yourself to stay connected. Join a local club, find a place to volunteer a few hours a week, or simply commit to calling one single friend or family member every single day. Human connection is the ultimate antidote to isolation. Aging mindfully means honoring exactly where you are today, embracing both the beautiful joys and the very real struggles. There is no shame whatsoever in admitting that the load is heavy right now, and there is absolutely no shame in asking someone to help you carry it for a while. If this video helped you, or if it made you feel a little less alone, please consider sharing it with a friend or family member who might really need to hear this message today. Give this video a thumbs up, and make sure you are subscribed to the channel so we can continue navigating this journey together. Next time, we will be diving back into practical, everyday ways to keep our bodies moving safely, but until then, please be gentle with yourself. Take care of your amazing body, fiercely protect your peace of mind, and I will see you in the next video.